Why did Korach rebel against Moshe? What was he thinking?
This is, in fact, the central question of the entire parasha. What exactly was Korach thinking? Did he and all the others who joined him in their rebellion against Moshe, did they not see all the miracles that Moshe Rabbeinu performed in Egypt and in the desert? Had they not witnessed Matan Torah, they had seen all these things with their own eyes. And one cannot claim that Korach simply denied the truth of what they had seen, nor can we claim that he did not believe in Hashem, or that Moshe Rabbeinu and Am Yisrael had a special connection to Hashem, because Korach, in his own words, says the exact opposite. When they approach Moshe, they say as follows, the beginning of the parasha, Ki chol ha'edah kulam kadoshim. The entire people, the entire nation of Am Yisrael has a special relationship with Hashem. They are all kadoshim, they are holy. They have a unique and special connection to Hashem. Uv'tocham Adonai, and Hashem resides amongst them, amongst us, amongst the Jewish people. So it is not the case that Korach and his followers denied these essential facts. Their only question was, their only point of difference with Moshe Rabbeinu was the end of that very same pasuk, Umadua titnasa'u al kahal Adonai, and why therefore do you and your brother Aharon, by the way, this was one of the things that very much bothered Korach and his followers, that Moshe and Aharon, who were brothers, they together held the top positions, so to speak, in the corporation, in the people, amongst the people, within the Jewish people. And therefore, why are you special? Why are you different? Hashem has this special connection to all of us. And we are all connected to Hashem. And you didn't do these miracles by yourself. Hashem did these miracles. So why are you so special? And why is Aharon so special? This was the tenor of the question. Now it goes without saying that what was driving Korach, at least part of the reason for this rebellion against Moshe, which is also, in fact, as we see in the parasha, a rebellion against Hashem, was his desire for wealth, fame, power, status, etc. In other words, as the Mishnah says in Masechet Avot, that the ta'wa and hakavod mos'imet ha'adam min ha'olam, that desire for all kinds of forms of power, to be aggrandized, to be looked up to be important, these things cause people to do the most incredible things. And Korach is an example of this. And yet, we still have to understand what exactly was going on in Korach's mind. The Perush that I wish to mention today is that written by Shadal, Rabbi Shmuel David Lutzato, and his Perush on the Torah. And he explains as follows. We have to keep in mind, first of all, that we are talking about a people who had lived for hundreds of years in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. It follows, therefore, that they were entirely steeped in the ways of the Egyptians, in their outlook on life, on their understanding of spiritual matters, religion, theology, etc. And the Midrash states as much explicitly, that the Jews in many ways were very similar to the Egyptians. They learnt from their ways, from their errors, from their culture. And this is exactly why they had to be removed from Egypt in order to become a different kind of people with a different kind of culture. But here, in this first generation of people who left Mitzrayim, we are talking about people who were born in Egypt, who grew up in Egypt, and they were, of course, entirely in lockstep with Egyptian thought, with Egyptian practice. And we know that in the ancient world, Egypt was one of the centers of sorcery and magic and avodah zarah, idol worship, etc., in all its many forms. And therefore it was the case that many Jews, like Korach, understood matters of religion and how one gains favor in the eyes of the god or gods, in the case of the Egyptians. How does one go about doing this? One has to know the particular forms of worship, the magic formulae and precise deeds that one must do, laid down by the priests, by those in the know, those with a special esoteric knowledge. Those who have these secrets in their possession can do the most amazing things. This is what the Egyptians believed. This was one of the essential concepts underpinning all their religious practices and ideas, that the priests had this secret knowledge that only they possessed, that only they understood, and they knew how to appease the gods and how to therefore gain favor and how to therefore achieve all kinds of results. And Korach made the very, very serious and tragic mistake of thinking that Moshe Rabbeinu was essentially another Egyptian priest. Keep in mind also that Moshe Rabbeinu was also born in Egypt, and Moshe Rabbeinu in fact grew up in the royal palace. Moshe was also therefore, in their eyes, part of that Egyptian hierarchy of priests and wise men who knew all kinds of secret knowledge and practices. And all these things, of course, have everything to do with sorcery and magic. And they also, of course, cheapen the concept and the correct understanding and perception of what it is that we are talking about when we speak about a God, one God who created all things and who controls the destiny of all things and who can intervene within the workings of nature and history. If one understands that this is a kind of system where one can beat the system, so to speak, if one has these particular formulae, and if one knows and has this esoteric knowledge, then one can achieve and gain whatever one wishes to achieve or to gain. If that's how it is understood, then it is very easy to understand what Korach was thinking. So writes the Shadal. Shadal explains that it was not that Korach thought that Moshe Rabbeinu performed these miracles by sleight of hand. He knew these acts, these miracles, these many things they had all seen and witnessed were true. Nor did Korach think that Moshe did it by himself. He knew that it was Hashem who was behind this, all these actions, all these miracles, all these wondrous things. What he thought was that Moshe had particular knowledge and understanding of those things that Hashem, that were pleasing to Hashem, that Hashem liked, that Hashem could be, as it were, bribed or bought. If you knew how to do these particular forms of worship, then you could more or less do anything you pleased, exactly as the Egyptians thought. And therefore, at this point, when they were in the desert, after the Mishkan, the tabernacle, had been erected, and after the various forms of worship had been laid out by Moshe Rabbeinu, as we find in the Torah, now Korach said to himself, Moshe no longer is no longer the only possessor of this master key, which opens all the locks, which allows him to perform all kinds of wondrous deeds. He now is no longer special and different from the rest of us. We all know the forms of worship. We all know the darchei avodah. We all know what kinds of sacrifices, what kinds of worship, what kind of formulae can be used and must be used in order to find favor in the eyes of Hashem. And now that we all know this, there's no more reason for Moshe and his brother Aharon to be in charge. We are all capable now of achieving the same things as Moshe, because now we have this secret knowledge. That's exactly what he said. He said, Kol ha'ida kulam kadoshim. We are all special. It's not just you. We all have this knowledge now, and therefore, madu'a titnasa'u. Why are you to be raised up above everyone else? And this, of course, was a convenient way of claiming for himself and those who supported him positions of power and influence, because he felt, as a Lewi, as a Levite, as someone who was connected to the Mishkan, to the special worship of Hashem that was now established, he felt that he could now also do exactly as Moshe does. This was the mistake, the error of Korah and those who supported him. And Moshe Rabbeinu understood this, explained Shadal. And therefore Moshe said to them, we will all tomorrow perform a particular act, one of the misworth, one of the forms of worship, the ketoreth, the incense. We will all do it equally together. Aharon will do it and you will do it, and then we'll see what the result will be. If it is as you think, that everyone who does these actions in this particular way can achieve the same results, as if it's some kind of magic wand that you wave, and then everything can happen as you wish it to happen, as if this secret knowledge is now available to all equally, and therefore anyone can do as I do, or whether it's really in the hands of Hashem, and it's not a question of knowing how to bribe Hashem and, as it were, force his hand. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu said to Korach, tomorrow take all of you the mahtoth, the special vessel in which the ketoreth was offered, and then tomorrow you will see what happens. And we know what happened. What happened was that they all brought the ketoreth, and those who rebelled against Moshe Rabbeinu were swallowed up by the earth. The earth split open and swallowed them alive. This idea that Hashem can be bribed, that there are ways of gaining whatever one wishes to gain by means of particular actions or formulae, is not something that existed only in ancient times. This very same idea exists today also in the minds of many people around the world, and also in the minds of many Jews. And it is, as it was then, a terrible misconception, a misunderstanding, and is a tragic error that people are committing. Today in the Jewish world there are many people who believe that anything that is painted with the brush of Kabbalah, any kind of segula, any special strange action, or the recitation of certain formulae, or even pesukim mentioning certain verses from the Torah in a certain way, or receiving a particular bracha from a particular person, that this can somehow override the system. This somehow is more important and in the long run, this is what counts, rather than how one behaves, whether one relates to other people correctly and properly, whether one studies Torah, whether one prays with complete conviction and fervor, whether one, in other words, whether one is a good Jew. These things are not really what counts. What counts is knowing the right mikubal to go to for the right kind of bracha, usually for a price, almost always for a price, and or to receive some special information, as it were, from such people as to what kind of segula, what kind of magical action or mystical formula or something that can be pronounced in order to achieve, to gain something in particular, to have a particular thing come true or a particular wish fulfilled. This kind of thought is still with us, and it is just as much an error, a very, very serious error, an error which the Torah spends many, many pesukim and many, many miswot, commandments, in order to uproot this notion. The whole purpose, as Rambam writes, one of the central purposes of the Torah is to uproot avodah zarah, to entirely do away with that outlook, with that understanding of how the world works and how it is supposed to work. The Torah tells us that all forms of avodah zarah and sorcery and magic, and it doesn't matter by what name they go, all such belief systems in all kinds of strange practices and pronouncements based on supposedly esoteric knowledge and or some special status that this or that person claims to have, or other people claim in his name that he has, all such things are a form of dishonesty and lead people astray. They lead people away from Hashem, and rather than connecting them to Hashem. This was the mistake of Korach and his followers, and this is a mistake that many people still make to this day.
The production of these videos and maintaining this channel demands much time and money. If you enjoyed this video, please show your appreciation and support. To make a donation, please go to www.machonshilo.org and press the PayPal button, which appears on the upper right-hand side of the home page. To sponsor a video or purchase Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael, please write us at office@machonshilo.org.